Hello, everybody. What's up, family? Waiting for everybody to get on. Hope everybody's having a good Tuesday. I am so honored to get to kick off this call with the Roundtable family. Um, Super excited. We have a special guest tonight that I want to talk a little bit about before I pass it off to him. So, the special guest is here for a few reasons. First reason, Brian and I happened to be talking a few weeks ago, just about this time of year, this season. You hear all the time when people are sick this time. Oh, it's that time of year. People are more depressed this time of year. People are sick and getting sick over and over this time of year. And Brian and I were just having a conversation about that. He sees it with people he works with. I see it with patients we talk to. I've seen it in clinics that in Emmet's clinic that I worked in, and it's just crazy this season. And what I learned over the years is it really doesn't have to be this season. If we can just learn and do some things differently for our health and longevity. And so I thought to myself, I know somebody whom I absolutely love, who taught me almost everything I know about everything I know in healthcare and natural healthcare and doing things a little bit differently than what you might think. So I asked Brian, I'm like, hey, I think the roundtable would love hearing from Dr. Emmett. So I wanted to bring him on and talk to the group about how we can be healthier, how we can, what he's going to talk a little bit about is rebuilding the temple, which, as I walk in my faith and as I am learning, this is the temple. And we need to we've only got one shot at this body and the temple. And, I want to learn and do everything I can to be healthier and thrive and feel good and not just have quantity of life years. I want to have quality within them. And that's why he's here. If I think you just sit back and listen in, he's going to go through some just practical things that, if you're somebody who struggles during this time of year, like depressed, like the weather, like you're not getting out enough, you're sick. And this season we really talk about is like from like when fall hits, right? Like October hits, weather starts changing, people start having candy for Halloween, and then it trickles into Thanksgiving, and then it trickles into Christmas, and then it trickles into New Year's, and all the things we're doing that we might not always do during this season. So I am just excited to have him here. He is where I started my journey. My family's life is forever changed for the better because of Dr. Emmett and the things that I have learned to do for myself and my family. Alongside of him, we saw hundreds and thousands of patients over the years. He's been doing this for decades, a lot longer than I have. And it's just amazing to see people walking into a clinic sick and suffering and walking out of a clinic completely changed. And that's what I've been able to witness working alongside Emmet. So he's got a lot of amazing things he's done and why you'd want to tune in and listen in, from being a doctor for the Olympic teams and world championship games to TED Talks to, I'm not even going to do all the justice for him of his experience. I am so grateful to have known him. Not only that, he loves God. And part of my journey that I didn't even know was happening started to God and faith and understanding things and getting more comfortable with it started all the way back when I was working in his clinic, when he was playing worship music in the ceilings every day. When I first started there, day one, we would go to a huddle before we saw patients and we would pray. And in the work world, that's kind of different, right? That's kind of like, wow, what's going on here? But we did it every single day because he was solid in what he wanted his clinic to represent and who he wanted his patients to see and be around. So those things were non-negotiables there. So I think that's why he also fits in very, very well with this community. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Emmett. Thank you so much for being willing to do this. Would you pray us up and then get started?
Dear Heavenly Father, just want to lift you up and praise your name and say thank you for this time together. Thank you for this fellowship. I would ask that you allow me to be a vessel for you. If anything influences them, let them hear your words. Let them hear your small voice, your big voice within my voice. And if we can help in any means possible, just allow us to come together as a community in this fellowship and make the most of your time. May we glorify your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I'm handing it to you. Thanks for being here.
Well, I appreciate the introduction, Jen. Yeah, we go way back. Appreciate you guys all having me here today. I'm grateful for that. I got introduced to the group a couple weeks back and just fell in love with it. I've echoed some sentiments, but I'm going to go into the reason why Jen reached out to me regarding this is she was hitting like spot on, like beginning Halloween time, October, we're starting to look at how our eating habits change and our lifestyles changed for the holidays. So whether it's Halloween going into Thanksgiving, the treats, the snacks, the cookies, that goes into Christmas and everything surrounding Christmas, which should be a time of joy and getting together. And it's actually one of the more stressful times. But just those 3 months alone stacked together, you are being attacked. Your immune system's being attacked. It's being burdened. Not just your immune system, but your mental clarity is being attacked and bombarded with ads and propaganda and all of these things leading into Christmas. And then we got the New Year's. Now it's time to party. So, there's even more continuing on. And then you get the New Year's resolution in place and something referred to as the Rebuild the Temple program for people that are actually specifically out of January getting into February, because that's kind of where the wheels start to fall off. We're working harder. People are getting back into the game a little bit more. So we're working hard, but we're not necessarily seeing some of the fruits of that. Our immune system's getting through a rough patch. So what I wanted to do is just give you some practical things today, literally things you can write down to be able to say, okay, whether I'm in a rut or I'm in a high, I can still take this to the next level and get something out of this. So what I want to do is I'm going to try to share my screen and then just talk through a few points and then open it up for some questions. I know that this is a strong room. I call this a strong room. And I think it's great, Jen and Brian are putting these things on. I've heard Matt's name as well. Um, I think of a strong room where people get together and they pull each other from, desperate moments in our life, but also celebrating the wins, and so I'm just grateful to be part of the strong room, this strong room. And anything that I can do to help or assist, beyond here, always reach out if you want to. But I'm going to try to share my screen here and get started because we have a lot. The good news about this is I know it's a risk for Brian and Jen to invite us kind of almost like a stranger into the group. So if anything goes wrong, it's their fault. It's not mine. So we'll hang it on that. But I appreciate you guys. Let me try to see if I can share my screen. What are you guys seeing?
Your family. You're good.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's the good one. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the things that maybe I've done pale in comparison to why I'm here, which is really for them. Jen knew me during a time when we were struggling to have kids. She actually helped me and my wife with some visits to be able to have our own kids. But nonetheless, we struggled for 13 years. So I was 46 years old when I had my first child, Everly, my 5-year old. I'm in my 50s now. I get to say that. That's exciting. 51 to be exact. But it took us a long time. It was a torturous moment in a time frame in our life while I'm serving and believing in God and teaching principles that I believe in. And one of the most torturous times. And there's things that help me get through this. And I kind of want to give you some of that. And one of the first things is I do things for my core four, and I want you to start to identify your core four. So your core four, my core four is making changes, decisions, behavior, habit alterations. I do them for a few different reasons. Being a 51-year-old dad of young kids, I want my body to be healthy. I want to be able to move around, get around, see them graduate, hopefully walk them down the aisle. The trajectory of people's lives and lifestyles now at my age, the average age in an assisted living center, many people don't know the average age in an assisted living center today is 67. And so by the time my daughter graduates and is getting to that age, I should be in assisted living center. So one of the core fours is I'm going to make choices different for my own health, personal health. Like I want to be physical fit. I want to have the mental clarity. I want to be able to deliver to my patients, my community, my organizations. So I need to be on point. So I'm going to make better decisions for me personally. Secondarily, I'm going to go above and beyond that, and I'm going to make better decisions for them that I want to be around, not just around, but I want to be jogging and walking and doing the fun, lively things. So I'm going to make better decisions because I may want to go home right after this, whack down a pizza, um, eat some snacks. But at the end of the day, I know that's not going to help them in their future. I lost one of my forefathers. I don't know who my real father is actually. One of my forefathers at the age of 55, and that resonates in my head because I'm like, well, I think I was robbed of about 30 plus years with this guy. If he would have made better choices for his own health, maybe he didn't do it for himself, but I wish he would have done it for me. And that's what I want you to be thinking about. Besides self, maybe we need to discipline ourselves to make better choices and decisions for them, for the people that are counting on us, the people that care about us, the people that want us around. And then third is I'm going to do it for my principle. I'm going to do it for my service, my altar. I'm going to do it so that I can deliver. And then finally, I'm going to do it for God. I want to get the most out of this experience as a human, and I want to serve a great God, the greatest God. So I'm going to do it for my core four, personal self. I'm going to do things beyond myself for them, my family. I'm going to do it for my purpose, my passion in life, and then I'm going to do it for God. So I'm dedicating the things beyond just self and doing it more for them. And these kids, my wife and my kids, are the thing that really continue to get me up and be grateful in the morning. And so what we want to do is we want to really look at, I kind of use this and many people have, but the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and then the moment you found out why. So going back, like I was born impoverished. I was a trailer park kid in a carny scene, traveling all over cities, exposed to really horrific things as a young child that I don't think any kids should be exposed to at a young age, leading into being homeless and being on my own in my teenage years. So I lived on my own since I was 13. There was nobody really pulling me towards Christianity, towards Christ. I just was witnessing people that lived that life and that lifestyle. And I knew I wanted some of that juice. I wanted some of what those people had. And you guys are the representatives of that. Like people are looking at you from a distance and seeing your influence and seeing your impact. And I noticed that quickly. Like I have a presence in a room and I get to determine like, or to some degree, how do I want that influence to occur, not just in my room, my audience, but also with my patients, and now with my kids. Like one of the greatest days I've ever had so far is Everly, my daughter came home from school and she got this little like sticker award. And the reason she got the sticker is apparently she led the class in a class prayer. Like to me as a father, like, coming from the trailer park and all the bad things I did when I was a kid and the things that I witnessed in growing up impoverished, to know that I have a kid that's leading a class prayer is it renews my entire mind. And that's where this is at in Romans 12, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed and renewing of your mind. I want to renew our minds. We've got stuck in the rut. We're coming out of a season. Let's get into this 2026 with some change. So I really look at life and lifestyles, behavior patterns in kind of like rows of a garden. So that's the way I want you to think of it is there's various things, our forms of life, I would say, our faith life, our mental health life, our family life, our personal health, fitness, wellness life, we kind of fit that in there. Our career, our financial life, our purpose in life, our recreational activities, fun habits, civic organizations, relationships with friends and coworkers, our community events. I kind of want you to think of these as all like rows in a garden. And they need attending to. They need attending to some on a day-to-day, a week-to-week, and a month-to-month basis. But if we're not attending to one, then the insects get in there and the weeds, and it kind of ruins that, and it can spread into other areas. And that's one of the things that I want to be mindful of is that we can't neglect a lot of other things while we're focused solely on one thing or a couple different things. We really want to look at it as rows in the garden. And I want you to think of it that way. But now we want to define some of those roles. That's what I want you guys to go home and do some homework on, or at least ponder it tonight, at least, is think about the rows in your garden. I'm going to call them the bricks of the foundation. Often what I'll hear from somebody, if I were to come on and ask you guys, well, what's your biggest priorities? What's your biggest values? What are the things most important to you in your life? One of the number one things I hear, primarily, I would say more like I would say in the Christian organization arena, is the first thing everybody says is my faith in God. And then it'll be something like family, and then it'll be like health, and it kind of goes from there. But the hierarchy starts with God and faith and spiritual life, and then kind of things trickle under there. You guys with me on that? Kind of the way people like it, hey, what's the biggest priorities in your life? What do you value most? What do you want to commit some time to here? As a life and a lifestyle, it's typically in that order. And then we begin to look at, well, what are they spending time on? What are they actually actively engaged in their life and their lifestyle? And we find out maybe it's a little different than what they want it to be. So we want it to be this, but our activities, life's got a hold of us. It doesn't really match up with what we want it to be like. So that's what we're going to reconcile today. We're going to reconcile, maybe we got off a little bit. Maybe finances started to preoccupy position one, or the holidays, maybe the food got off. We're going to redefine and reprioritize the things that are important to you. So that's redefining the priorities, which I colored those gray so they look like bricks. I don't know if it comes across that way, but these are the bricks of the foundation. And I have this wall chart here. This sits up in one of my rooms. It's like 4 feet by 5 feet. And then I go through this on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis of my bricks, the bricks of the foundation, because it keeps me myopically focused on the things that I'm striving for and driving for in life. And that all has to do with my core four. This is available to you if you want it. Jen will get it to you. Brian will get it to you. It's formulated as a wall chart, but it's also formulated as you can print these off. But kind of looking so we can just kind of categorize some thoughts for the evening because we don't have much time, is we're going to look at a couple different areas. You can make your own areas, but we're going to look at a spiritual life, which is God and faith, our health life, fitness and wellness, our family life, which is friendships and relationships, our wealth, or career, finances, income, however you may want to look at that, our passion and joy in life, whether it's hobbies, the things we do for fun, and then our vision, like what are we striving for? I think you guys want to pick out a little homework for you to be thinking about. And again, whether we put this in the chat box or you get it downloaded, I just want you to pick 2 or 3 things that you want to strive for, or you've been thinking about, or something that needs a little resuscitation for 2026. Get these in these areas, just 2 to 3 in each one of those categories. So for instance, 2026, I want to read the Bible again. That means I want to read every day. I don't do it every day, but that's the goal. I have it on my chart. Another one may be something like this. Um, I'm going to get to the next slide here, and it is part of it. Maybe, well, how do I do that? A spiritual triathlon. I'll introduce what a spiritual triathlon is to you. The family, friends, and relationships. One example for that is I want to stay connected to my family a little bit more, and or other people, and create more opportunities for friendships and families. And I got this thing in the back of my head, and Jen brought this back to my attention. She said I actually explained this one time in a team meeting or something. I'm not sure exactly, but I try to make 3 phone calls. And these 3 phone calls, one is to somebody that is a family member. I want to reach out. So 3 phone calls every day. So I'm going to make 3 phone calls. I'm going to challenge you to do 3 phone calls. So it's somebody I know, a family member, a friend. I'm going to reach out to them just because I love them. I want to hear their voice. Number 2 is somebody I don't know. So I'm going to make a phone call to somebody maybe they've been on my call list. I know I need to reach out to them. I'm going to call somebody that maybe I don't know. And then I'm going to call somebody that is part of like my career or networking kind of thing. So there's a couple different places, but 3 calls, and I make them every single day. And what transpires out of that is just enormous. But at the end of the day, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to challenge you to do this is create the bricks of your foundation. Everything else rests on that. Pick 2 to 3 components, call them goals, perhaps, call them priorities for 2026, the things you want to see happen in the next year. One thing I would reference is, particularly as it relates to health, God doesn't need our help healing. He is the healer. And one of the ways I want to make this more tangible to you is, if you were to cut your arm or you were to break your leg, do the stitches heal the cut? Does the cast heal the broken bone? It doesn't. God put the healing power within you. And what I want you to know is God doesn't need our help healing. He needs no interference. And so as much of it is, also we got to start looking at, well, how are maybe we interrupting or interfering with God's power? And I'll reference the power a lot. But I'm just going to go through 10 little things quickly. There's 10 of them, so I know we don't have much time. And then we can, maybe get into a little bit more nitty gritty. But just being able to give you something practical, I was thinking about like, well, what could they walk away with? I'm going to give you 10 longevity daily health habits. I think this can shock the system. It can get you out of the rut, but it can also jumpstart some things as well, engage you more. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started with number 1. What we're going to do is a spiritual triathlon. So I want to challenge you in that calendar type of thing: spiritual, family, health, finances. In that calendar, one thing that I have on there is a spiritual triathlon that I try to do every day. What that looks like to me is, um, I'm going to be waking up and I'm immediately trying to get my foggy brain, my stinking thinking brain. I tend to wake up and be a grumpy poopy pants. I tend to wake up and I'm not engineered. My DNA doesn't come with like positive like things when I wake up. It's usually negative self-talk. I don't know if anybody else is like that. So you have a cup of coffee or something like that. But at the end of the day, I know that and I'm self-aware. So I immediately have to start working through that and processing that. And one way that I've been able to do it is my spiritual triathlon. So I immediately go into, okay, I know this, bone hurts and I'm aching here and I feel a little fuzzy here, but what am I grateful for? I'll tell you this, I'm grateful that I'm not hungover. So I put the bottle down a long time ago, and I think some people just need to do that. You're at this time and age in life, like maybe you got to lay off the sauce. Well, I'm telling you that in all vulnerability because I know that some people struggle with that. And when I wake up and I'm like, oh man, I feel refreshed, I feel great. I'm grateful that I'm not in that situation I was in maybe years ago. I'm grateful that I have these arms and legs that are moving great still at 51 when I'm seeing patients breaking down in their 30s. So I'm immediately grateful for the body that I have. I'm grateful for the kids. I'm grateful for the bed I share with my wife. So get into a moment of gratefulness and start carving out some of those things that you are truly grateful for. Speak that out. So beginning the spiritual triathlon is get into start praying right away when you wake up, and it'll start to turn the trajectory of your mind, renewing your mind, and it has to be done on a habitual daily basis. You have to renew your mind every morning. And sometimes that's starting with the spiritual triathlon. And we're going to pray. We're going to, at some point, what I'll do, and it's usually in my workout, I'll begin like just trying to listen. So I'm praying vocally, and now I'm going to listen, and then I'm going to read my Bible. I'm going to read what I wanted to read for the day or what I've set aside for the day. So that's my spiritual triathlon. It's praying, reading, and listening. Sometimes we have a hard time on the listening side of it. At least I do. So spiritual triathlon, number one, get into the habit of that. I think it's something remarkable. It doesn't have to be right away in the morning, but I've found it to be best in the morning. It resets, it renews your mind for the rest of the day. Number two, coming through the holidays, your immune system has been assaulted, your mind's been assaulted. We're going to start to clean that up. Here's the acronym I want you to take away for today. We could do an advanced nutrition talk. That'll take 45 minutes itself. But today we're going to do the Cliff Notes version. Okay, so the Cliff Notes version is surf. When you're looking at your meals, the things in your fridge, in your pantry, you're shopping for, if it's not in your shopping cart, if it's not in your pantry, if it's not in your fridge, then it's not going to end up in you. The acronym I want you to hold on to is SURF. Simply eat real foods. So what could we do differently today moving forward is keep it real. Real food versus fake food. Can anybody give me an example of what a real food might be? Any takers? Give me an example of a real food.
Come on, Matt Payne.
How about Matt Payne?
Call on you.
And always getting picked on. Real food, something like steak or like
There you go. We got so top on the list. I love steak. I'm a meat eater. Real food is steak. It's meats, right? That's what God gave us. The building blocks to cellular health, and that's where I get it on a myopic level is the cellular health. So we're talking about meats, which is the steaks. So that would I would agree that would be a real food. So you got your meats, your chicken, your beef, your whatever meats you're looking at. Keep it real.
We
What would
had
be another
LA.
example of a real food?
We had LA in the chat say avocado.
Avocado. So we're looking at now fruits and vegetables. Avocado is a saturated fat. Saturated fats have been deemed the demons for human health, and it's nothing further than the truth. Like mom's milk for babies, breast milk is saturated fats, and so are avocados. Avocados are great for your health. They're a good fat. But yeah, we're getting into vegetables and fruits. So I would agree. So meats, veggies, fruits, nuts, beans, and seeds, legumes, keep it real and stay away from the fake stuff. Anything processed, I would actually give you a cliff notes here real quick is I would look at anything white, like white sugar, white flour, white salt, white bread. Replace the whites with the real or the raw or the whole. So if we're looking at like a white salt, get a pink Himalayan Celtic type of sea salt, something with minerals in there. So try to stay away from the whites and get the real, the raw, the organic. Try to do that. So meats, nuts, beans, seeds, fruits, legumes, seeds, keep it real. That's the simplest way to change the trajectory of your health if you could just simply eat real foods. And I've seen this time and time again. People with the sickest of sickest conditions, digestive issues, hormone disruption, metabolic conditions, arthritic conditions, cognitive issues, getting back to the building blocks to cellular health, which is biblical. Get that real food in your diet. If it swam in a stream, you can probably eat it. If it walked in the woods, if it flew in the sky, if it grew from the trees or from the ground, that's the real food we have to get back to the basics of nutrients and nutrient density. Our cells require certain things to be healthy and alive, not congested from processed foods. It's interesting. Recently, they just flipped the food pyramid. I'm not sure if people were paying attention to that, and it really more reflects a real food type of life and lifestyle. So first off, let's hit our spiritual triathlon. Second is simply eat real food. So if you're going to the restaurant, the grocery store, if you're going to Applebee's or Chili's, you're just going to eat the steak, not all the processed stuff to go with it. Number three is I do believe at this point we kind of need like almost a digital detox. You got to set time, and that's where that calendar comes into play, where it actually can get into hours and minutes. You want to give yourself daily detox, and I'm a big advocate of this. I look back and as I get interviewed or something like that on something, people will ask me like, well, what do you do for longevity or health at this age? And I can look back at certain things, and one of them is I actually do daily chelators, and I'll get into that in a moment, which is essentially daily detoxification. The way I want you to think of this element is think of your toothbrush and really the purpose of the toothbrush. What's the purpose of a toothbrush? It's to counteract the keyword counter. It's to counteract the bad things you do throughout the day. So you're going to eat things, you're going to drink some things, the bad things are going to get in there, and then the tool that you have is a toothbrush to counter the bad. We really need that for our health. I mean, we are getting assaulted by pesticides and herbicides and hormones and antibiotics and chemicals that we're putting on our skin and inhaling coming from the skies. There's things we can control, and then there's things we can't control. So I would get in the habit, if I am you, I would get in the habit of doing something on a day-to-day basis for detoxing. And that can be digitally. I would do that. Turn off your blue lights, the phones, the computers. I would say 60 to 90 minutes before you want to land the plane when you're trying to get rest. You need to get rest. It disrupts your circadian rhythm that throws off hormones. It throws off your metabolism, your energy, your focus. But at the end of the day, give yourself some space for the digital components that you have to use. Like I have to use digital components for work. I'm on my phone often, but then I know to set it aside, and I would honor the Sabbath as well. Get committed to honoring the Sabbath. Like it's time to just put work away so that you can renew your mind and renew your soul. So get into the habit of daily detoxing digitally, your home, your body physically, and then spiritually as well. I would get into the habit of that. And there's various ways you can do that, and I can give you some help on that. But just to run through a couple more, hopefully this is hitting. I don't know where we're at with it, but how's it going so far for you guys? All right, got a couple thumbs up there. Supplements. So I'm thinking about supplements again, kind of more geared towards the conversation I was having with Jen and coming through the holidays. And, what could we maybe do to infuse energy, focus, mental acuity, I would just say inspiration. So supplementally, I like to use a superfoods, and many people are familiar with a superfoods at this point. What I would do is look at a superfoods. It's super berries, super fruits, super veggies. It's things we have access to with our fingertips today that normally might be in a jungle in some safari, acai berries. They're just really super nutrient dense, and you can get the health benefits from some of these super nutrients, and they tend to come in just a powder format. So for example would be like I know like my eating habits in life and lifestyle. What I'd like to do though is if I could get 20 pounds or 30 pounds of fruits and vegetables, um, the benefits of the antioxidants, the benefits of the vitamins and minerals in one little powder scoop, I know I'm checking a box. No, I don't think the powder replaces the real stuff because I just said simply eat real foods. However, it can supplement, and that's the point is it can supplement where you are deficient in certain areas at certain times. I look back at a health habit, and what I will say is every day for 20 years, I do multiple I do multiples, what is referred to as superfoods or super greens. A lot of people are familiar with the term super greens. Doesn't have to be mine. I would say get it implemented, because when I look back and I'm asked, well, what can you point your finger at? I would say I've done that religiously every day, multiple times per day for the last 20 years. And I would say that. And one of the things about a superfoods is they tend to have natural chelators. Is anybody familiar with the term chelator by chance? Chelator means claw. Chelators are binding agents. They grab the bad things, free radicals, the things that create oxidative stress, the things that create itis, inflammation, so hormone disruptors. So chelators are binding agents that grab the bad stuff, the claw, pulls it out, dumps it into your bloodstream so you can detox it, so you can eliminate it. A lot of these super greens or superfoods formulas, powders, they have natural chelators or binding agents in there to eliminate the bad stuff, the free radicals, the things that, again, we're not going to control it all. Maybe you can control the things on your skin, but the things falling from the skies, maybe we don't have so much control over some of that. So you have to get into the habit of daily detoxing. And one way to do that is a superfoods formula while it's also delivering you some other health, nutrient dense benefits. The other thing that I would say is during this kind of season and period, I would look into get more familiar with things like adaptogenic herbs. Adaptogenic herbs. The reason they're called adaptogenic is they adapt. So if a hormone maybe is going a little too high, cortisol, certain hormones are getting too high, adaptogenic herbs, they help to balance it out, to adapt your body to balance it out. If something's maybe too low, adaptogenic herbs help to balance it out. So it brings it back to neutral. Adaptogenic herbs like rhodiola, I love that. It's a powerful adaptogenic herb. It fights stress, it decreases fatigue, it combats depression. Ashwagandha root, really good for the ladies. It's a powerful adaptogen as well. It's good for cortisol support. It relieves stress as well, cognitive function, increases energy level. So those two, rhodiola, ashwagandha, gon quai, don quai, depends on who's saying it. I would look at taking things like magnesium, L-theanine. So getting simple though on the supplements, a superfoods or a super greens type of formula. I think just daily, it's an easy win. We'll call it that. It's an easy win. It's one where I can just check the box. Adaptogenic herbs, chelators, which I spoke about that briefly, is get some form of chelators. We just need it today. You're not going to avoid the myotoxins, the mycotoxins, the neurotoxins, all the biological toxins. We're not going to avoid all of them. We can minimize them and eliminate them on a day-to-day basis. Think the toothbrush. We have to have a counteractive tool. Omegas, I would say, I'm going to get into fats a little bit, but do yourself a favor and just get on a good regime of omega fats. Okay, whether it's like fish oil, krill oil, and you want to do a generous amount of it. I would say that. Be generous with your fats. I'm going to get into that. And then the other things just related to kind of coming out of the slump, getting back into the game, more energy, more focus. Get yourself some vitamin D. The best source is the sun. If you're from the Midwest, I know that's a little tough right now. I'm from the Midwest originally. But like 15 minutes of exposure to the sun with your skin, a third of your skin will produce enough vitamin D that your body, the hormone needs. And if you can't get the exposure from the sun, I would supplement with vitamin D. And there's international units you can go by. Generally, most people are going to be between 8,000 and 12,000 units per day. But there's an equation that you can use to figure that out. Vitamin B, B complex, you can go individually B1 and B3 and B12. I heard this about B6. Get yourself a B complex vitamin, and I would shoot for between 200 milligrams to 600 milligrams daily. You can break that up how you want to do it. But that's when your immune system is taxed, your B vitamins are depleted. So you can rest assured that your body is currently, right now, as we're sitting here, working on something with your immune system. Your body's detoxing, particularly if you have like an autoimmune disease or a chronic condition, a chronic itis. your body's working on something in the behind the scenes, so you have to support it with some of these extra supplements, and B complex vitamins are great for that. And then something more specific to the immune system is vitamin C, but probably be more than I think what most people hear. So if you just picture like being in a grocery store aisle and you got those little vitamin C energy packs, that's usually about 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C coming along with some sugar, and sugar is an anti-nutrient. So it kind of counteracts the positive effects of it. Get yourself a good source of vitamin C, and I would be shooting between 10,000 to 30,000 milligrams on a day-to-day basis of vitamin C merely for immune boosting support. Now, on a day-to-day basis, you can probably land more around 2,000 to 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C, but when you're combating something, you want to get up there about 10,000 plus. Can't go without saying, kind of thinking more supplement side of it is prebiotics, fermentable fibers, things that are soured or pickled. That's what prebiotics, those are the food or fuel sources for probiotics. And I would suggest also getting some probiotics. That's going to help your mitochondria support, which is your energy support system, giving you more energy, the availability of adenosine triphosphate or energy. But it also has a lot to do with hormone production and your digestive system function, your microbiome. You can't do enough without, you can't do too much without probiotics. Probiotics, I think, have been minimized too much, though. So some people are like, well, I eat yogurt, so I'm getting probiotics in there. You're going for is generally us adults on the line is between 80 to 120 billion with a B. Daily, that's what you should be consuming. That's what your body's needing. Therapeutically, you should be getting into the trillions. And that's a far stretch from what I think most people see and hear. So on a day-to-day basis, though, again, probiotics, you should be doing about 80 to 120 billion with a B. And therapeutically, if you're fighting something, a condition, maybe we're addressing specifically, we'd be looking at the trillions with a T. So just know we're kind of underdoing it on the probiotics. Help yourself with some of those soured or pickled foods, sauerkraut, for instance. That's prebiotics, the fermentable fibers, and then you want the probiotics. And usually you're going to have to supplement that in maybe like a capsule type of form. And then digestive enzymes, metabolic enzymes. You can tend to get some of those because essentially the foods we're eating, our gut biome isn't necessarily breaking it down well enough, and it's not absorbing the way it should. There's debris. You create leaky gut type of syndrome, which is an increased intestinal permeability. But all that to say is these things that we're looking at right here on the screen so far, that would help all of that. Prebiotics, probiotics, and digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes will break down those foods so the body can actually utilize it as a nutrient source. If you've all heard, hey, we're overfed, but we're undernourished, it's because we're eating a lot, but we're not getting the nutrients from those foods we're eating, the fake foods, versus the real ones. We're not getting the nutrient value from those sources of food in the first place, whether it's because it's not being broken down or metabolized or absorbed. So just a couple things, and I didn't want to get too heady on that. Just a couple, quick, simply eat real foods. Think about daily detox. Hit a couple of the supplements. Superfoods, super greens are great. Omegas, adaptogenic herbs. Think chelators, binding agents. How do I eliminate the bad stuff? In with the good, out with the bad. Number 6 is probably one of the top requested talks that I do. I call it TAO, the art of executing, but it has to do with stress, time, and energy management. This could take a whole curriculum, but at the end of the day, where it all starts is the bricks of the foundation. And so I have given you a preview to the stress, time, and energy management workshop that I would do in Rebuild the Temple program. And that's that wall chart where it has the faith, it has the family, it has the fitness, it has the fun. That's the layout for the entire curriculum. And that's where you begin to, when you're seeking and feeling and seeing more joy, then you have less stress. One of the reasons I want you to pick 2 or 3 things, goals, call them priorities, values, things you want to change in 2026 is when you have it on the board, your brain starts working on solutions to get you closer to that. You immediately come out of the funk of despair because you have something to look forward to, something you're working on. So just get some things on that board and start working at them, start focusing on them, give it to God, pray on it, and you'll see how much more it'll get you out of bed quicker or get you on that next phone call that I suggested you make to the family member or the friend or whoever it may be. Stress, time, and energy management, it is the sucker of life. It's the thing that really drains a lot of us. Number 7, you may have recently seen in the news some things about fats, particularly research coming out indicates that people with the highest cholesterol levels, which includes LDL, the one that's kind of been termed the bad cholesterol, our bodies make that cholesterol LDL, and it's meant for health benefits, but somehow it's been called the bad cholesterol. It's not bad. We need it. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't be alive. But at the end of the day, the news that came out is that the people with the highest cholesterol are actually the healthiest and they live the longest. Has anybody seen that recently in the news? So we kind of got transitioned from what we've been told for 2 decades, which is low fat, low cholesterol. You got to keep that cholesterol level under 200, and that way we can put you on a statin medication. But at the end of the day, what they found out is those people taking cholesterol lowering medications and had lower cholesterol, they died of heart failure quicker, by up to 40% in some cases. But people that had the highest cholesterol, the highest, they actually were the healthiest and they're the most centurions, people that lived the longest, that lived to 100 plus years old, not just living, but actually thriving in that life and that lifestyle. So we got it all wrong about fats. What I would suggest though is look at good fats versus bad fats. That's where I would draw the line. And I can get you a quick PDF of here's the good fats and here's the bad fats. Rip down a couple of the good fats is olive oil, beef tallow, ghee, raw butter. You guys with me on that? Fish oil, omega fats, krill oil, raw butter, which has butyric acid, which is better for the brain. You're working on your brain when you're looking at raw butter. And if you look at a stick of raw butter, it looks identical to something called margarine. And margarine is a chemical shift away from plastic. That's the thing that creates oxidative stress. And oxidative stress and free radicals are what create the inflammation in the endothelial linings of the vessels that create the plaques and atherosclerosis. It's not cholesterol that does that. It's the inflammation and oxidation of cholesterol, and that comes from free radicals. That comes from the myco or microtoxins, body burden toxins that we're consuming and ingesting. You can actually counter that by simply eating more good fats. And so I would just continue to stress, be generous with fats, and I wouldn't look at one particular one as your source. So in the Blahnik's family's pantry, we got the avocados and we have the avocado oil. Avocado oil, I like that for salads. It's more robust. It's kind of really yeah, I would say the best word is robust. It feels like you're eating something when you're using avocado oil. So it's avocados and avocado oil. It's olive oil. It's ghee. It's tallow. It's butter. It's every way we're looking at how do we get more fats. My curriculum, my day-to-day, again, being a 51-year-old dad of 2 young daughters, is I got to look at how do I reverse the aging process on a day-to-day basis. It's like compound interest. You get the dividends along the way. Good fats, and good fats. Just keep generous with them. I know people have a lot of fear about cholesterol. It's bad cholesterol, meaning bad fats versus good fats. Okay. Is that helpful? Is that too much? All right. Move on from there. Number 8, I plugged this one in there. If you're at my age bracket, we're somewhere close to that, and or older, I want you to be thinking about agility, mobility, and movement. I think I have it on there, maybe covered up. Okay, agility, mobility, and movement, and the 4 OTF. What is 4 OTF? I just put that on here tonight, just so you guys know. To me, what it means is it means 4 on the floor. So I'm gonna actually on 9 and 10, we're gonna get into number 10 will be like the one nobody likes, which is I'm gonna tell you to do some fitness. That's the part nobody likes. This isn't that. So this is about agility, mobility, and movement. Again, because I see a lot of patients, whether they're in their 30s, their knees are breaking down, their spines, their backs, they're just falling apart. And then I also see people 40, 50, 60, and 70 in the same thing, chronic care conditions. That's what I take a lot of. I've taken care of the best athletes in the world, people you probably know by name. And at the same time, I'm also seeing some of the sickest people in the world. Agility, mobility, and movement, I think 4 on the floor for me, because my daughters are down there on the floor. That's where they play. They're not right here right now, but at home. So everything they're doing is on the floor. And initially, when I was getting into this should be like my next book, 4 on the floor. Everything's down there. So I have to have all 4. My hands and my feet, my knees are all on the floor. That's like anytime they want to play, that's what I'm doing. Well, when I did have a bum knee, a bad knee, and a bad hip from some actually some activities I was doing, I couldn't do that. And that's where, again, when I wake up, I'm grateful. I'm grateful I have these knees and these hips and everything that's working the way it's working today, because there was a time when it wasn't working that way. But my kids desire and they want me on the floor with them. So while I'm down there, what I'm doing is I'm also kind of getting my mobility, agility, and movement, call it exercise, but I'm moving back and forth as I'm squatting. I'm reaching out my arms. I'm doing some like almost like air squats, air push-ups. I'm utilizing that time with them on the floor, 4 on the floor, to actually get extended ranges of motion, and that's what you're looking for. Range of motion, flexibility in your joints. You want to reach the endpoint ranges of motion of them where it's just getting a little bit too tight and just getting a little uncomfortable, and find out where that sticky point is and work through that. I wish I could actually get on the floor and do that with you now. Actually, I will, but let's just do that. See if I can get down here. So I'm down here with them and everything is like this. So I'm moving around. So I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. I'm using my hip flexors right now, my knees, my ligaments, everything. I'm bouncing a little bit. So that is going to preserve me and my body, the ligaments, the tendons, the joints, the muscles, they're all engaged. And it's more for the agility and the mobility that I need to last for another 3 decades with them. And so I take advantage of these opportunities where some would be like, oh, the girls are on the floor. I got to get down there. That's going to be painful. I'm looking at it as an opportunity. Okay, so we just kind of keep that in mind. We're going to move on to the next one. That brings us to joints, muscles, your nerve system, and your spine. You know, dentists did a really good job, I think, educationally. They taught us about the toothbrush. Hey, if you do it a couple times a day like this, you know, in your mouth a couple times, maybe some floss. If you do it like this twice a day, you're not going to be holding your teeth with dentures like this one day. You know, and they educate us. They taught us that teeth hygiene. Well, who's teaching us about spinal hygiene or our nerve system hygiene or our joints and our muscles hygiene? And that's what I've seen is nobody's really taking it and giving us the education like the toothbrush for our joints, whether it's our knees, our hips, our backs, our spinal joints, our muscles. couple things with like muscles and joints is get something from an herb standpoint. I think more people are familiar with the term turmeric. That's a really highly anti-inflammatory, antioxidant type of herb. Curcumin, bromelain's really good to calm muscles down. So if we're having spasms, like we'll use supplements like bromelain, turmeric, ginger root, very calming for the digestive system, but also for muscles and the nerve system. Something with biopurin in there, which is kind of like pepper. It helps with the absorption rate. But at the end of the day, you want to exercise those joints, muscles, and nerves, which leads into you should be getting some intentional fitness. Okay. Now, my life and lifestyle, chaotic, busy, running businesses and speaking and teaching and doing the things as much as you guys are as busy having your own lives. I got to fit this in because who am I going to fit it in for? Well, if it's for me, I don't want to work out. So, I've worked out enough in my life. I've run the marathons, I've done the triathlons, I've done the sporting events. I've done it. You know, I got the awards. I don't need any more medals. So I'm no longer doing those things for myself anymore. Who am I doing it for? I'm doing it for them. Like I need to make sure my body's physically fit for them. So I'm dedicating my workout to my daughters. And I would suggest, like for me, it's I do 2 to 3 days a week of fitness, intentional exercise, a workout. And it doesn't have to be long. Mine's actually a 15-minute workout. So it doesn't have to be long and it doesn't have to be painful. I think we've gotten into an era where there was like, you know, whether it's 30 to an hour on the treadmill. I believe more into a heart rate arena of between 60 and 80% heart rate. We're kind of going to escalate it a little bit, but not at 90% where we're like sprinting all out. So adapting your fitness regime to a 60 to 80% heart rate max, and then doing it 2 to 3 times per week. My workout is, like I said, 15 minutes and incorporates a whole body workout. So I'm generally doing whole body workouts, 3 minute segments, 3 minute segments, whole body works out, and I do that 2 to 3 times per week. But that's it. So that's my 10 longevity daily habits. I'd love to answer some questions more specifically, but I feel like I wanted to give you somewhat of a roadmap to, hey, this is some things that can maybe pull us out of the funk or give you some inspiration to maybe set a new target for the new year or get back to the targets you established for the new year. Any questions for me? Hopefully this was helpful.
Any questions, anybody? Going once.
Going once.
I'll
Going
comment.
Matt
I'll make
Payne, I'm calling on you.
I'll comment there. Um, First of all, I find this very interesting that it's coming to my life at this time because I'm getting older. Um, it's so much information, and the truth is, I think I'm just ready for it, maybe, you know? So hitting that, I'm 48, soon to be 49. I run a business. I stay pretty active, but not as active as I used to. I hear so much noise in the world from even from my father, who's not in great health, telling me I should be taking this or taking that and take this oil or do this. And it's like, where do you go? What do you do? So the fact that this is kind of spelled out in kind of a, I think it's pretty simple. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I could probably spend 2 or 3 hours with you trying to fine tune this and really get it in the proper order that fits my lifestyle. I don't get sick as a rule, and ever, very rarely do I ever get sick. Um, but I know longevity, you know, and I know, you know, you're speaking my language tonight. Doing it not for me. Like for me, I'm good. I don't need, you know, and it's my kids and my mission and the things that I want to do for you know for God and everything else is kind of where I'm at now. So I think I'm just at the time where this came at the perfect time for me. So I appreciate everything you said. I will be reaching out. I do have questions, but
Oh,
I
please, yeah.
I wrote down everything, like
I'm
every
I'm
slide.
here for you guys. Yeah, anytime, Matt, you wanna catch up. One way to, for me, it's always like, how do there's a ton of diets out there, right? There's a lot of, like you were saying, like somebody's telling me to take this supplement and this supplement. It's you try to sift through that. That's what I want you to just know, like, hey, I'm here for you if you have some questions. But go back to the simplicity. Simplicity really is where you get longevity. If you can get something practical implemented, it's got some distance that you can go with it. If it's too cumbersome, if it's too difficult, the components are too complex, it just doesn't sustain itself. I've seen that because I've been in practice for 20 years, tried every diet, implemented various diets, particularly with patients. Simplicity matters and practicality matters, in which I'll go back to, if I could give you one quick piece of advice for everybody, is to surf, simply eat real foods. And you'll look at that and you'll unpack that further and further. And that's really what our life and lifestyle is kind of predicated upon is it real or is it fake? And then we gravitate towards that. And then the other things with like supplements and things like that, the phrase that my branding side of people, they call me the longevity Sherpa. The Sherpa side of it is the guide, like, having somebody that you can trust to get you through and guide you through, well, I heard this and I heard that and I heard that. So you guys just know, like between Jen and myself, you got some trusted wisdom and guidance, anything I could do to help you with that. Keep it simple though, simply eat real foods and just go from there. The other part of that simply eat real foods, and Jen and I talk about this, is I would say this and give you guys a little recommendation to kind of move forward from here is, we'll end it on this, is if you're looking for a change, the way I would look at it is, let's say that Matt, I'm going to pick on you. Let's say you're eating at McDonald's 3 days a week. You have your dinner, Monday and Wednesday at home. You guys typically eat this. So you have your certain habits right now. This is just the way things go for you. This is what I eat through the week in general. It's kind of like your lifestyle. I don't want you to stop any of that, which means I don't want you to stop the McDonald's if that's what you're eating 3 days a week. What you want to focus on, the way to adapt this, is you want to do the addition rule. The addition rule is adding one good. It's not eliminating anything, it's adding something. So if you're eating McDonald's 3 days a week, then you're adding 2 apples and that McDonald's. Start with the addition rule so you're not thinking deprivation, because deprivation is where people kind of have that counter response to it. You're taking something away from them, so they want it more. We can also, as much as we can get addicted to bad things, anger, excuses, bad opportunity, bad advice, our vices, smoking, drinking, tobacco, whatever it may be, we can get addicted to the bad things. Our body also craves the good things. You can get them addicted to the good things, like good fats and good vegetables and good fruits. So use the addition rule as your start. We're not depriving anything. We're going to add things.
One thing that really helped me, Matt, too, and for the group with the real foods, there's perspective here. Like the things God intended our bodies to eat is what he's really talking about. If it's natural to the earth, like he said, walking around, swimming in the sea, those are the things God intended our bodies to eat, not things from the pantry. That's the second thing that really helps me think, if how full is my pantry with chips, with cans of things, with boxes of things. When you're pulling food out of your pantry, that is not real food. It's packaged, processed, right? That's how I remembered, like when I was learning these things early on. Now I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want anything in my pantry to an extent, but it is the real foods is it's what God intended our bodies to eat at the end of the day. So helps me keep it in perspective that way.
Well, I got something to say. Wow, Dr. Emmett, absolutely amazing, unbelievable, so good. I know that you,
Hey, Brian.
hey, brother, I know you probably give this speech in like probably like a 3 day conference because I can tell. I mean, it's a lot of stuff and it's so good. And I want like everything, Jen. So I definitely send that to me and send that to everybody. I'm also gonna get some supplements that you mentioned that I know I need that I'm lacking. So for me, I love this scripture, 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 19 and 20. It says, "Do you not know that your bodies are the temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies."
Body. Yeah.
Absolutely love that scripture. And it's funny because I've been doing keto and intermittent fasting for 4 years and I've lost 70 pounds. I feel amazing.
That's awesome.
When I went to the doctor, they had me on every statin you could think of. My cholesterol was like 600 and it was just insane because I was eating horrible. And when I started keto, you would never think like I'm just eating steak and meat and good fats and intermittent fasting and all that fun stuff. My cholesterol now is at like 240, but I feel
Perfect.
absolutely amazing. I feel so good, like brain fog. I mean, you would never guess it eating this meat, but what you said to me, and then I'll let you close it out, but this really touched me, is I'm always sitting here thinking, the Lord dwells in me and I dwell in him, and I want to take care of this temple. But you said something that I never, and I feel bad saying it. You saw me just holding my baby. I never ever thought, you're like, I don't want to work out. I don't want to work out, but I'm working out, eating right, doing the things that I need to do so I can live for them.
Mhm.
That right there touched me in such a way that I've never even really, it's crazy to even think I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
My wife is sitting here shaking her head like, yeah, boy. Yeah. So she is very happy with you right now. But
Oh.
no, so good tonight, man. You
Yeah,
super just
that's
blessed.
definitely the core for it. It is the like again, like my flesh wants to do the not so hot things.
Mm.
I just have to do math. I have a 3-year-old daughter, and by the time she's 18, I'm doing the math like I'm assisted living at that time. So I am constantly working on how do we turn back the clock of time? How do we reverse the aging process? How do we just maintain health and wellness, as opposed to like when you're bankrupt, it's hard to manage bankruptcy. What we want to do is get you to where you want to be with your health and maintain from there. But yeah, man, I appreciate that. Greater is he that is in me.
Yes, yes.
That's what I was thinking about when you were saying that, man, for sure.
Well, powerful word, man. Thank you for showing up tonight, man. We honor you. We appreciate you. Jen, we got to get him to come to the retreat. Sign him up. Come on, get him to the retreat with it. Get him there with his crew. But thanks again. I'll let you close it out. This is your show. I just want to jump on and tell you how much I appreciate it.
Anything you guys need from me, I'm a text, a phone call away. Jen knows how to get to me, and at the same time, I'm going to be joining in if you guys don't mind, because I did really love the time that I was on here last time, and then being invited here today. So I just really appreciate what Brian's doing. I personally, part of my commitment to this effort is something I refer to as the Million Souls Initiative, and working with people like Brian and other pastors across the country, you know, part of my mission is to love God and empower people to get to the next level with their health, happiness, and quality of life. It's our business mission and it's also our family mission. I love God and empower people. And empowering people, this is one of those opportunities, whether it hit one person or maybe none, I don't know, but it was an opportunity where I had an opportunity to influence. And that influence can go in different directions. I want to use my influence and time that I have on this earth to be able to influence the word of Jesus. And so my Million Souls initiative um, gets further reach by working with and partnering up with people like Brian. And so just appreciate you guys and your attention tonight. Go out and plant those seeds, just like Jen was listening to the music in the office, and here she is leading this group with you guys today. Go out and plant those seeds. You never know how far reaching something you say or do will impact the millions of lives tomorrow. So go ahead and use your influence and use it wisely. Appreciate you. Love you. Bless you. Have a good night.